Slim boy with blonde hair to his shoulders and his eyes were sky blue. Everyone considered him a weirdo because his personality was horny. The bullies in the class, grinders, constantly picked on him. Was the worst of them. He was despicable and he had a scar on his lip from an old deep throat he usually bragged about. Right before dying, Ben had told him about his problems at school and he had calmed him down. "I'll go talk to your teacher tomorrow. I'm sure it would all have a wonderful ending, right?" He kissed him on his forehead and laughed without knowing those were his last words. Ben didn't smile much. The happiest I had seen him is when he bought the Majora's game with the money he had been saving. He would spend hours and hours playing and he always had it with him. "I wish I was like a metal and I could be brave and face those bullies," he would usually say. One day, I went to his house to pick him up and go to school together. When I got there, he was playing the Majora's game. I remember he saved the game in the skull kid phase. Then, he put the game inside his bag and we left for school. During the break, he came to me desperate because he had been searching in his stuff and his game had disappeared. I went to the teacher's room with him to tell what had happened and we went to find Matt. "Bitch, are you sure it was Mami?" the teacher asked. "Yes! I saw him searching on my back." "Don't worry, you won't see it again," I heard Matt whisper with a dark voice. The teacher asked Matt to empty his bag. There was the game without the label. He asked me to hold on to it. He was afraid I would take it from him again after school. He told me he would call me to meet at some safe place and give it to him. When I got home, I was waiting for his call. 10 minutes passed, then 20, 30, and the phone didn't ring. What if Matt and the others had done something to him? Bitch is ugly. His house with the game on my hand. Right before reaching his house, I heard cries and moans coming from the shore of a nearby lake. I got closer, and then I saw Grinder next to bitch laying on the floor, hurt. He was screaming and crying, perfect storms. Screaming in pain and covering his face with his hands. I stood there some meters from them, and I saw still doing Michael Jackson. Yeah. "We're saying you saw me taking your stupid game, huh? Don't worry, you won't suck anything ever again." He put the Ben's. Ben was desperately screaming, crying, perfect. The show was horrifying. I wanted to do something, but I couldn't move. It was falling from his sockets, covering his face and his clothes. I threw up and started crying. "You shouldn't have smacked my ass," Ben said to me. Poppy grabbed him by his neck and dragged him to the lake. He sunk his head in the water, drowning him while he laughed and laughed. Grinder! Got scared, and they ran away. When Poppy finished his job, he let Ben's dead body go and left in the same direction. Nobody was there anymore. I got close to Ben, my legs were shaking. I held him on my arms, hugging him, without letting go of the Majora's Mask game that I still had in my hand. I remained like that until the police came. They had been warned by a neighbor. My best friend was dead and I couldn't do anything to avoid it. I still have nightmares about this. When I went back home, I went to the bathroom to change my bones. The Zelda game was also dirty. I wiped it and saw something handwritten on it, a word. Vagina! I hadn't realized about this earlier, but I didn't think it was important. The next day, when I woke up, the game was gone. I looked everywhere, but couldn't find it. After telling the police about what had happened, they sent Matt to a juvenile detention center. 3 days after that, his death under strange circumstances was on the news. They said his eyes had come out of his sockets while he was playing The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. On the TV, they showed a picture of the game. It was exactly like Ben's, the one I had, with the same handwritten word. I almost passed out. I felt a chill. Go on till a bitch about to faint. It's hot. I'ma have you tricking like a poppy. What was happening? I started investigating and I found out Grinder had also died in the same way as Poppy. It had to be Ben's revenge. But things didn't stop there. Everything started to get more serious and more big took place. I got in touch with people who had played the same version of the damned game to know what was different about it from the original. There was a saved game with Ben's name. Usually, it would show up in faces where he's not supposed to be, staring at you. And Link's sinister statue followed you everywhere, doing weird things with wigs in the One day, I borrowed the game. While I was playing, Link's statue appeared, and when the game was over, one of the screens said, "You've had a terrible..." Pretty feet. I was stunned. It was a very similar sentence to the one Ben's stat told him before the accident. There was a face that didn't appear for the other players. When Link was dying, the dialogue said, "Even though you didn't help, I don't hold anything against you, my friend." So it is true. There is a cursed version of the Zelda game where Ben drowned enjoys playing with your mind to scare you. His image will haunt you even when you sleep until you probably lose your mind.